What's up, Tim Sykes, millionaire mentor and trader here. Very proud to introduce you to one of my newest six-figure students. He has a lot of great lessons. Stick around. I wish more students did these, not just 6 or 7-figure students, but all students. I want you to watch this video. I want you to, get inspired, get educated, but mostly use it as a lesson and an example of what you should be doing. No matter how big or small your account is, you must be meticulous, okay? You must track your gains, track your losses. This is why we have all these tools built into Profitly. You should utilize them. You should also talk about them on social media. Have other people, help keep you accountable for your actions, good and bad. I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of my trades, my losses have gone down quite a bit lately because I just have so many people watching me and I don't want to look like an idiot. And frankly, that's a good thing. It keeps me conservative. So think about that. Be meticulous. I know that it's annoying to go over every trade. Some people just like to focus on their biggest trades, their biggest gains, or their biggest losses. But you have to really optimize your process. You have to think of yourself as a scientist, and it's a game of optimization. And while there's no magic formula, you can optimize your own trading better over time. So as you watch this video, start listening to what Kyle is talking about, not just the money that he's made, but his whole process. And I love the fact that, frankly, he didn't make that much, especially at the beginning of the month. But then when his ideal trades came along, he was ready. And every single person watching this has a different ideal trade. Some of us are better at going long. Some are better at shorting. Some are better intraday or multi-day or multi-week. Different times of the day. Some people like trading at the market open, some at the market close. So, I was giving a challenge webinar just literally like 2 days ago, and someone said, just enough of all this, Tim, just give me the easiest pattern. And I was like, that's a different answer for everybody. I wish it were simpler. I wish that everybody was just good at, one pattern. But if everyone was good at one pattern, then guess what? It would be a very crowded pattern. Kind of like what short sellers are feeling the past few months. Enjoy short sellers getting squeezed. I think that you should have multiple patterns in your trading arsenal. Even if you are good at one pattern in particular, what happens when the market changes and that one pattern doesn't work as well? I see a lot of short sellers just specifically focus on the shorting, and right now, because it's such a crowded strategy, they're losing big. And, not to toot my own horn, but I probably talk to more traders and especially more newbie traders than anybody else in the world. And I will tell you, short selling sucks right now. Even if you're able to, overcome some of the squeezes and hold long enough, you're taking excessive risks. It's gotten so choppy and scary. I would not do it, but you're welcome to try anything. Try paper trading, trade with a small account if you want to test. You're going to have to try different stuff. And if you're the next great short seller, God bless. Whatever works for you and whatever, makes you comfortable. I have my own favorite patterns, whether it's dip buying morning panics or buying first green days on OTCs with big news and big volume, or shorting first red days on pump and dumps. Those are my 3 kind of go-to patterns, but I have a whole bunch of other patterns too. But you have to choose and you have to get experience. This is why, like, some people are like, oh, how quickly until I make $1 million? Like Tim Grattani, my top student, now 1,500 into over $8.5 million. He made nothing, $0 his first 9 months as he was learning, testing, and refining. And he didn't even make his first million for 3 years, and that was in a very hot market. Not all years are created equal. Right now, there's no really hot sector. We're looking at a lot of short squeezes, a lot of OTC, low price junk spikers, like under 50 cents a share. And that's not really like a amazing trend. So be careful, be patient, and be meticulous tracking your own setups. Leave some comments below after you watch this video of Kyle explaining his month, and leave comments below with what you learned from it. I'm curious to see what you gain from it. And thank you, Kyle, for sharing your journey so transparently. I'm so proud that he's now made over 100,000 plus. He's a young man, but he's doing great work, and he's investing time and energy into his process. That I think will serve you very well if you do the same. Thank you.
What is going on, traders? It is the end of the month, so clearly this video is going to be the October recap. As you can see, made about $4,000. Very mixed emotions about this month. The first half was quite frustrating and kind of slow, and then it's picked up, and I couldn't adapt quickly. And then ultimately, I was pretty much break even the entire month until I had my ideal play at the end of the month. So we're going to go through week by week. I'm not necessarily going to go through each particular day, but each week there was a few trades that had a lot of good lessons in them, and I learned a lot this month. And so we're going to go through that, and then I have a kind of a more important lesson at the end that I think will help you and certainly helps me figure out how I can see the implications of my mistakes that if I can change them will actually turn into P&L. Like how do my mistakes actually cause me from losing money, and how can I make more money by reducing those mistakes? So we'll go over that at the end. So let's get right into it. First week, best trade was CVSI. So this isn't, this is a former runner. If you go back like 3 years now, awesome run from 3 to 9, and it's been shopping around for the last year or so, and the weed stocks have been selling off, so now this thing's having a bounce. 3 green days in a row from 160 up to 250, a good solid percent gainer for 3 days, and so I'm looking for the first red day. So if we go to the intraday, I'm looking for the reversal. I'm looking for the backside of the move. After 3 green days in a row, it's unlikely that it's going to have a fourth, or it's harder as it keeps going. And so you can see it here, 1 green day, 2, 3. And so into the close on the third green day, it kind of had a spike, but it has all these resistance levels, right? It has this 258 level, it has this 263 level, and then ultimately has the 270 high of day. So coming into the market open here, I wanted to see how strong was this morning spike going to be. And so it spikes, it barely moves from 259 to 266, so barely 6 cents. And so right when I see this morning spike fail here, I take a starter. Now, normally I don't like doing that, but when it is a starter, my risk is very small, so I don't have a problem doing that because I could easily just cut it if it does keep going and it breaks this 270 from the day before. And immediately I was right. Took my starter, and immediately it starts going red on the day. So I then start covering the dips here. It starts getting a little choppy. I end up covering, I think, most by here. And I'm like, sweet, I'm out. I'm done. I made like $800. And it starts bouncing, so I think I timed it right. Of course, in hindsight, it faded even more. If I could have held over on the first red day, I would have made even more money. But again, I'm not going to complain about $800. I'll take it any day. So that was, I believe, on Friday. And so why did I only end up making $200 that week when I made a $100 gain on CVSI? Because these days I was just trading crappy patterns. I remember I was trying to short DCGD, like swinging it because it was had a huge run to like 250, and now it's under like $1, and that didn't go well. I remember trying to short SPNV up on this run after they got delisted a couple times, and that didn't work. As you can see, this thing grinded right back to 50 cents from where it started. So that month just pretty uneventful, not much happened. And then the second week, this is where a lot of lessons are, because on the so if you had watched my previous video lesson about me trying to learn and go long on these breakouts, this is when it started, week 2. So the first trade I took was CLSI. I was trying to long this breakout here over like 9.7 cents. And you see the volume's big. I think they had news. And so I was looking for this thing to have like this kind of day. Go from 4 cents to almost 10 cents. Like, how about have this go from 9 cents to almost like 18? Like, let's get this like account rolling. I was going to grow my account big. And so I tried to buy that breakout, and it just didn't, it worked initially, but kind of if you listen to what I was saying, the theme of the last video lesson I made, just none of these breakouts worked for me, whether it was my mistakes or the breakouts, they just didn't work. So I remember, longing up in these dips, and it started working. I was like, great, I'm going to make money on my first like breakout. This is going to be awesome. And it kind of made a higher low. I didn't think too much of it. And then into the close, it just died, right? And I had to sell here because it just, a strong, good-looking breakout isn't going to be weak into the close. It's likely going to be strong, if not at least go sideways. So I took a loss there. First one of 6 trades that I tried to learn breakouts for. That was on Tuesday. And on a Wednesday, this was my toughest day of the month, which was on NAT. So again, similar to how I always like to short some of these stocks, multiple green days in a row. I'm looking for the first red day, and that was what I thought would be on the 9th. So if we go intraday, there wasn't necessarily news. It was about the tanker oil stocks. This is one of them that, this one and along with like 2 or 3 others were very getting popular because these tanker stocks were getting hot. And that was my biggest mistake, right? Number one, I don't like shorting oil, energy, and tanker stocks isn't my specialty. Like that's not what I need to be doing as a strategy. And the fortunate part of why this was such a rough $1,300 day is because I don't know what the reason was. I kind of went into this day thinking I can just start taking size and like start throwing money around like I'm some badass trader. And that was just not the case, right? And so this was the day I thought it was going red. It cracks out the open, which I miss it, but then it starts bouncing. So I'm like, okay, let me take some size. I take 4,000 shares. Immediately next new high, I freak out and cover. So a boom right there, a $600 loss. And then it immediately slams back, red. Okay, now it's red on the day again. I think the red-green mark was like 370 or 371. So we're back red again. And out of impulse, I immediately slam back in 4,000 shares. And so after just taking a $600 loss, I'm now like slamming back in thinking I know what I'm doing and this thing's just going to fade away, easy peasy, and I'm going to make my money back. And of course, you know the chart, what it looks like. I get squeezed again. So within the first 20 minutes of the market open, I'm down $1,300 because I think I know more than I really do about this particular stock and how it moves. And so I get crushed, like a just massive punch in the stomach right away. And I missed this move. I didn't even short any of this on the backside of it. And I'm done. I take my $1,300 loss for the day and I just kind of sit out. And so what I learned from this trade was like, what am I doing? Like, what are you doing, Kyle? Like, I am profitable on listed stocks, but to think that I can just trade them like OTCs and just slam in on weakness and just slam in when they go red and thinking that's always going to be the case and they're just going to give their money away to me and I'm just going to make money that easy. That's not how they work, I just was so not meticulous at all with this trade. I remember for some reason Googling it to see because I couldn't find news. I remember Googling it like what was news. And I remember one of the first things I saw on Google was that like ETFs and algos were starting to invest in this ticker. So it's like all the signs were there for me to like either not take this trade or take small size and just accept a small loss. But instead, I think I like can just slam in and immediately make money. So it was a huge humbling experience. I was quickly realized I had no idea what I was doing. And I kind of almost lost confidence. You kind of hear me in my video lesson when I talk about going on those longs. I started having like a lot of negative self-talk. And of course, a lot of that was from the longing those breakouts. But a part of that was from this trade right here. Like taking this huge hit in the stomach from just stupidly being aggressive on a trade that didn't deserve it made me lose confidence in what I thought I knew about how to short some of these runners. So that was a huge hit. But I ultimately learned like, you got to be more meticulous. Like, look at what you're shorting. This isn't like a pump and dump OTC that I short. This is a legitimate oil energy tanker company. I can't just start throwing size like I know what I'm doing. And so that was that. Rest of the week, the next best trade I think was ITMC. So again, this trade is my like more of a bread and butter play. This is a promotion. It's not a very good promotion. It was very like subtle under the radar. I'm sure most people didn't know this one was out there, but I found it when it had these 3 big green days. And so promotion or not, it resembles any other runner that we've talked about so far, right? It's just multiple extended green days. And so I was looking for the first red day. And, I don't think I really needed, the intraday was very simple looking. It went red, I shorted, and it dumped. So I covered, I think I tried to swing it for a few more days thinking I could get more out of it. I couldn't, so I just covered, made about $1,000 on that one, and ultimately ended the week off -700 from the bad 2 days of trying to drive that breakout and shorting NAT. And so week 3, let's see some of the trades. So the loss from NAT carried on with me into this week. And the reason why that was is because this is when the market really started to heat up. The first 2 weeks was incredibly painfully slow. Nothing was really that great. Like NAT was the only big runner, which is probably a reason why I thought if I could just make a lot of money, it'd be worth it, which, obviously, as you saw, was not the case. But coming into week 3, we see BIMI, right? This massive runner from under $2 to over 12 or 212, and then SES from again $2 to over 25. Like these two massive runners, and we haven't seen runners like these in at least a couple months. So we've been like kind of everyone in the small cap space has been waiting for these runners to come back, and they came back. And I completely missed them, guys. I didn't make a single dollar on any of these plays. Luckily, I didn't lose money on them. But a reason why I didn't even attempt to play them was because I immediately got skittish from my NAT. Like I said, I lost confidence. I didn't even aggressively think to like that I knew what I was doing when I was shorting these. And another factor was borrow fees. And this is another hard lesson that I need to learn is stop being so frugal. Like, so little background story for me. I've always been a more frugal, cheap person. Not that I'm not cheap. Like if I see something that's valuable, I have no problem spending money. But when I think I'm being overcharged for something, I immediately like get in my shell. Like I'm like, nope, I'm not paying that. And that's how I am in my personal life. And that has come into my trading. Because on these days when SES and BIMI were having their first red days, or was likely to happen, the borrow rates at my broker was like 50 cents and 80 cents per share. Now, is that ridiculously high? Of course it is. But look at the range, right? Like say I just took a very conservative like short at $10. Okay. From 10, it goes all the way down into the 5s. That's $5 a share of upside if I was shorting. And I'm worried about paying 80 cents a share. Like, yeah, it's expensive, but what was going to stop me from borrowing 400 shares, paying, $300 in fees, which I've done before. I've done that on other plays that I think are good. What's wrong with paying that much and then making $4 a share of upside? You know what I mean? And so it just really hit me home after losing confidence with NAT to then these where it's like, God, what are you doing? Just pay the borrow fee. Like that's part of the business. Like I can't be cheap and be like, no, I don't want to get charged that much because every other trader is paying that much. And every other trader who shorted those stocks that day made tons of money, So again, I just was kind of added insult to injury where I already was losing. I wasn't very confident. And then on a play that could have given me my confidence back with massive downside, I kind of got stubborn and it was like, nope, I'm not paying those fees when it was really a no-brainer. Like I should have been paying those fees. So that's something I had to kind of accept. And hopefully next runner that comes around, I will be ready to pay those fees. So that was that. The couple of the losses here, I believe, were DTST. Right, here we go. So this had a huge gap up. I forget when. I don't even think it has news. I think this was also another promotion. I think a lot of text messages and emails were going out. So I was interested in going long initially and then short later. So if we go, let's go a little farther back here. Right, so this was the day it started running, and I still have my E-Trade account, right? I'm still trying to buy some of these breakouts, ride some of these lower priced Momo movers. And initially I think I'm right. I buy in this consolidation, and it makes a new high day. And so I'm like, sweet, I'm going to make money on this one. And it just dies. You see the red selling volume here, and immediately I take a loss. So that's, again, like I said, I was very frustrated when I was trying to long these because I was just taking so many losses like quickly, like right back to back. So took that loss, didn't touch it the rest of the day. And then we come into the next day. Now, I took about a $300 loss here trying to short this move, thinking it would go red, and then having to cover up in here. And this is very similar to the CVSI trade on the week number 1, where, it did have a failed morning spike, but I didn't take a starter, right? I went full size right away. And so that's what led to a bigger loss, because like, why didn't I do what I did with CVSI? Why didn't I take a starter and then add on confirmation when it red? Instead of here, I just felt antsy and I immediately went full size. So of course, when I stop out, I also lose much more, which I would end up being $300. I then let it move. I don't let it touch it all day for the rest of the day, or not the rest of the day, the rest of the midday. And then all of a sudden we see this start fading. And I remember trying to short here. It kind of got a liquid, but I also was okay with it, moving the way it was. Tried getting short a little bit on this bounce, but ultimately I just said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to hit the bid. I need to get in. Got in here, panicked, end of the day, held overnight, panicked some more, didn't take any off here. I got a little aggressive. I was like, you know what, I've seen this play before. I've seen how this moves before. If you go back to even further, it's had these moves where it has this run and the next day it's done. Like it's never coming back. So I ended this play. I wanted to short it. I held through the second red day, which is what you just saw. And on the third red day, I covered. So that gave me my $1,000 here. Came green, 165, nothing big deal, but was able to stay green. Then on to the fourth week, nothing really special. It was, let's see, it was SSFT, I believe. Yeah. So again, this was another promotion. As you can see, multiple green days up and down, and I start shorting, right? I think this is going to pull, and it ends up pulling. You can see here, there's the 3 red days. It pulls down to 30 cents. Now, in this play, I'm short at IB and at Cobra. At IB, I cover my shares, right? I put my limit at 30. I get filled. I'm done. At Cobra, I did not put in my order, and as you can see, I awfully regret that order, or not putting that order. I could have easily got filled at 30, but I kind of stayed stubborn. I waited. I subconsciously wanted to lower, and it bounces. I almost think, I can't prove it, but I almost think they started promoting it again with maybe some emails or an article, and I missed covering, and I ended up having to cover for like break even. So that was super frustrating because that not covering at Cobra and having to cover for break even, I gave away like $900. So that was very frustrating. And that was that play. Now it's not, kind of just fading. It's not really going anywhere. Another play was CTST. Again, this is another weed stock, so all these like weed runners, as we've seen, are bouncing. And I wanted the first red day. So if we go here, go intraday. And so I remember this day because the MJ, the weed ETF, and like CGCG or CGC, they were all going red. They were all down 2, 3, 4, 5% red on the day. And this was the only one that wasn't going red. So I was like questioning, like, why isn't this going red? And I kind of started second guessing myself, like, what if there's something about the stock that I don't know as to why it's not going red? And so I remember getting short into this move here, shorted this second like higher low here from the morning spike, and it started fading. And I believe it was going to go red around in the 130s, so it hadn't gone red yet. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why are all these weed stocks red and this one isn't? And so, like I said, I psych myself out, and all of a sudden we start perking over VWAP on this big candle. You see the volume coming in, and I cover. I literally cover dead top, simply because I psych myself out. And again, you know, if the stock you're shorting is the only one that's staying green on the day, it is good to protect yourself. But again, the reason why I cut it wasn't legit. Like, where did I cut it? What resistance here was meaningful as to why it broke and I should cut? Like, I should have kept my risk at the high of days. So I cut it dead top, and as you can see, it just fades away, fades red. And so that ended up being a $200 loss, which could have been probably $800 in profit. My goal was to cover near like the low 130s, so that would have been like $800. So that was this whole week. This was the day on the 22nd where at Cobra I didn't cover my SSFT shares, so it ended up being break even. 23rd was a Fannie Mae short, simply because they had a PR that came out saying their shareholders might not get as much value as they think they will. So that was a quick short, no special like that's in there. Obviously nothing else on these 2 days. And then the 28th was XNet. This was a really good lessons because finally, after weeks of dealing with the NAT, missing the BIMI and the SES, I finally was able to kind of pull myself back and realize, okay, I still know how to trade NASDAQ stocks. You know, I still know how to handle them. I just need to get better at how I manage the trades and pay for the borrow fees and all those kind of things. So going to this week, the stock was up on massive news about Bitcoin or about China accepting blockchain technology as something that they should take advantage of, and a huge gap up. So I'm looking to short it. It panics. I start shorting in this bounce, and there's a good lesson here. If you can look at the volume, just compare. Like, take a broad spectrum and look at this day's volume versus this day's. Look how massive this volume is compared to the prior day. Right there, that's a sign that this is going higher. And I kind of ignored that. I'll admit it. I saw it in real time, but I also thought, you know what? If it had this crack, it might not come back. But so I short anyway. Luckily, I'm not slamming in super hard like NAT. I'm not trying to swing for the fences thinking I'm going to make money on this. I take small size. It starts breaking out to new highs. I cut it. $200 loss. Right. Just notice the difference. $200 loss on something very small that I'm willing to risk versus taking immediately $1,300 in losses on NAT. So I've learned my lesson. I'm trying to trade better, and that worked. Took a very small loss, which I'm very happy about. Let this trade out through the whole day. clearly now it's fading, right? It had this hard crack. It now can't get over all this resistance level in the mid sixes. And so I start shorting. I start shorting a little bit here. Cracks a little bit, I add a little bit more. I held through this bounce because I knew this was going in right into the resistance. I didn't add. Normally I'd probably like to add into that, but again, I'm still a little bit shaken up from my losses, from my lack of confidence. I'm just saying, let me just take my small buys and let this ride out. Panics into the close. I hold overnight, and the next day we have a huge gap down, and I don't even wait for the open. I cover right into this move for I think $400 in this day. So that was very sweet. That was I'm saying only $400, but if you actually watch my last monthly recap video lesson in September, I talk about how a lot of my trades unlisted is where I'm taking like this huge loss, and then I'm making this gain, but that gain is barely making up for that loss. It's not even twice the size. So I was very happy with this trade because losing 200 and then taking a good trade and making 400, doubling that loss size, made me really happy. I realized, I'm fixing my mistakes. I'm getting better at it. And so that was, even though dollar in terms of dollars, like I made $200 between the two trades, it's not that big of a deal. It's not life changing, but the lessons and the ability that's showing, or it's the ability in me that I'm being able to show I can refine my mistakes and get better from them. That was also really, really huge and a huge confidence boost. And so it starts, bases, it now has a bounce, and this is now today, I actually shorted this bounce, right? Because if you look at this, look where it bounced to. The high of today was like the sixes. I think it was 6. And look where that is. That's in all this resistance right here. You know what I mean? So for it to actually break out of this, it would need so much more volume. And again, look at the broad spectrum. Look at the volume on today versus the volume it had on the top day, right? Massive difference. So clearly there's subtle signs that you can tell this isn't going to break that high. So I let it top out at 6. Unfortunately, I missed this entry right into VWAP. But then once I saw it fail, I realized, okay, I want to short this. I shorted this move. It panicked, let this consolidate, covered a little bit, and then covered the rest into this pull. Didn't want to get too greedy. Didn't think it was going to go around the day because there was some news, whether it was fluff or not, it made it somewhat legitimate. And so that was another $250. So that was cool. That was on this day. But sorry, I kind of got ahead of myself. This day was the moneymaker. Like I said, my bread and butter made my entire month, and that was PXPP. So clearly, if you recognize a promotion when you see it, this was clearly it. I had thought this was going to be a bigger promotion, but the moment it was starting to get promoted, OTC Markets hit it with the skull and crossbones, the CE, right here. So when they do that, it pretty much killed any chances this pump had. That's why you see this panic, from 30 all the way down to 10 cents. But that didn't stop them. That they just started promoting, and they weren't going to get it as high as they wanted to, but they kept promoting. And so if you've seen my very first video lesson, I'll link. You'll see like a link up here, or I'll put it in the description below. I go over how I short these, so I'm not going to get too much into it in this video. You can watch the other one that has how I do it in detail. But every day I'm just adding a little bit, right? And I'm not like saying holding it forever. I do have a risk in mind. I did think that this was in the 40s, and it could probably best case scenario go to 60. I thought if it went to 60, I'd cut it. That'd be worst case scenario. But as you can see, it never even got there. The high of the pump was 45, and I remember adding on this first decent red day. It dumps. I then cover on the 29th? Is that it? 29th, yep, for about $4,000. So, like I said, at the end of the month, that's my entire month right there. So, to be able to make that much money from the setups that I know already work really, really well for me, and then learn all the lessons that I mentioned earlier and be break even on those, I'll take it. I'll take it any day. So that's my month, pretty much. And then, but the last part is the cutting out the mistakes part. This was the biggest lesson, or not the lesson, but the thing I like to do, and I recommend that you do, which is kind of quantifying your mistakes. So, all the longs that I tried to buy breakouts in, that ended up being $1,200 in losses. That CTST loss that I covered right into that pull, that push. Let's see, let's go back to the chart here. Right, instead of making instead of covering like this mistake and letting it pull back, that was going to be another $1,000 in gains, or $800 in gains. Covering my SSFT in my Cobra account instead of being greedy and not putting my order in, that was $900. paying my borrow fees for BIMI and SES, that was going to be, I mean, I can't say how much I was going to short, but if I made $2, $3, $4 a share and only paid in 50 cents a share in fees, how that's coming out. I'm making at least a few $100, maybe $1,000. Maybe if I really got aggressive and wasn't, didn't deal with NAT, I could have made over $1,000. So you quantify those mistakes, and all of a sudden, instead of having a $4,000 month, I'm having a $6,000, $7,000, maybe $8,000 month, right? All these mistakes that you can quantify and allow yourself to see, wow, if I didn't make those mistakes, this is how much I could make. That motivates me. I don't use it as a way to beat myself up like, oh, you suck. I use it as a way to tell myself, just imagine if you remove these mistakes, that's how good you can get, right? That's the potential. That's where you can go if you remove those mistakes, kind of thing. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned as much as I did, because I learned a crap ton this month. And I'll be looking to use these lessons going into November, trading these listed runners well and better than I have before. So we'll just keep on grinding and getting better. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Later.
Hey, Tim Sykes, Millionaire Mentor and Trader. Thank you for watching my videos. I hope that they help you. I want to share everything that I've learned over the years. You can check out more videos right over there. And also click subscribe so that you can watch all of these videos, get that knowledge, and become my next millionaire student.